I just wanted to take a second and talk about the differences, some of the differences between 2D stuff and 3D stuff. And one of the main differences I see is 2D stuff is basically anything you can put on a piece of paper. So, you draw a sun, you draw some beautiful grass, artwork, whatever it is, a tree maybe. All that stuff is 2D stuff. Stuff you can draw. And 3D stuff is a little bit different. It's real stuff that you see in the real world. In other words, stuff you can hold. You know, assuming if it's really big, like a mountain, well, let's just imagine yourself as a giant. It's stuff you can pick up and hold and turn around and look in your hands. Now you might be able to draw. You might say, "Oh, wait a minute. Well, I can draw. I could draw like a cube or something like that. That's 3D, right? I pick this. I draw the cube. I connect the sides. I draw this box. That's a 3D shape. Well, no. It looks like a 3D shape, but that's just an illusion, right? You're making that up. You're tricking your eyes to figuring out, thinking about which, this is a 3D shape. It's a 2D piece of paper that you drew it on, so it's 2D. If you were actually holding a cube in your hand, if you actually your hand was there, and you were holding it, then it would be a 3D shape, and that would be 3D. But in this case, it's not. What else? What else about 2D and 3D? Okay, so what do we concern ourselves in 2 dimensions? All right, well, I'll try to keep 2D in orange. So if I look at this circle, right, and I consider all the space that circle takes up, right, that's considered the circle's area, right? And let's pay close attention to the number 2. If I found out what its area was, it's going to be something, right? Let's just call it C, right? It's going to be C squared. It's going to have a squared thing. Actually, let me call it C. Let's call it centimeters, okay? Just pretend we were, the distance around it, or it's being measured in centimeters. Its area is going to be centimeters squared. So how does that compare to what's a 3D version of a circle? Okay, I'll try to draw a circle. And I'll draw like one like you might see, like the Earth, How does that compare to a ball? And I'll try to imagine that this is some sort of ball, that you can bounce. I don't care what kind. This is a ball, right? A sphere, in other words. Now, how does that compare to a sphere? Well, a sphere, it doesn't have area, it has volume. Volume is 3D, and that would be in centimeters cubed. Now, if I measure the distance around this circle, right? Or better yet, let me use a square. If I take this square, which is a 2D shape, sorry, I know I said I was going to use orange, so let me go back to that. If I take this square, which is a 2D shape, and I measure the distance, I start here, and I measure the distance around it, all the way back, that is one dimension, right? It's just a linear thing. There's a bunch of lines here. So that would be in centimeters. So that is going from a 2D shape down to 1D. So that is going from area, let me draw this over here, area let me take that away, goes from area down to perimeter. And that's what it means to measure around a 2D shape. So this is 2D down to 1D. And if I have a volume, which is the amount of space a 3D shape takes up, area is the amount of space a 2D shape takes up, and I say, well, I don't care about what's inside, I just want to measure all around this 3D shape. So all that stuff, all that stuff, and all the stuff on the other side of this 3D shape, and take up all that space, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's going to give me a 2D thing. I'm going from a 3D down to a 2D. And you might have heard that. That's called its surface area. So area is still 2D. When we have a 3D shape, we go down to 2D if we want just the distance around it.